opening statements, 1 minute each. And then I'm going to ask probably 4 questions in all. Each candidate will get to respond up to 1 minute. But if you want to be more succinct than that, that's perfectly okay. And then you'll be dismissed. And then the city council candidates come up. So that's how it's going to work. And just give me a minute here. I need to check something. Okay. So we're going to start. We'll do this in first name alphabetical order. So we have Leslie Harris and Marty McLaren here. Marty is the incumbent school board member. Leslie is challenging her. And we are going to start with a 1 minute opening statement. Here's my timer. And I think, Leslie, you get to go first, so go right ahead.
Okay. I'm Leslie Harris. I'm running for school board position number 6. I would very much like A, your endorsement, and B, your vote, and C, your trust. I work harder than 10 people. I have served on national, state, and local boards of directors, including on the 34th Legislative District and the 11th Legislative District as chair. My child is coming out of high school, and she's going to the UW, Go Dogs, and a friend said, so you're dealing with empty nests, getting rid of one kid and picking up 53,000 others. Darn straight, because we can do much better. We can do much better. We need to make our circles wide. We need accountability. I'm nobody's rubber stamp. If you know me, I'm going to ask tough darn questions. And my professional background is asking tough darn questions. Thank you so much.
That was well timed too. So that's very good. So Marty, you're next.
So hello, I'm Marty McLaren, and I'm asking for your endorsement for the sake of continuity and continued progress. As you can see, I'm an elder. I'm a community member, connected with my neighbors close and far. I'm a parent with children long out of the house. I'm a retired educator. I'm a school board director from the West Seattle region. All those earlier identities are the foundation of my service as a school board director. When I taught middle school math, 2000 to 2004, many of my students were already far behind their peers. Our district hadn't prepared them for middle school math. They worked hard, but much as they achieved, together we couldn't close the gap. I sent them on in the hope that they would continue to strive and achieve, and I still remember them well. I'm going to stop there and hope I can get my other points in the course of the conversation.
Okay, well, that's good. You win in terms of succinctness. You won by 3 seconds. So, all right. So we have about 4 questions. And by the way, Marcy, do we have those 3x5 cards somewhere floating around? Okay, so we're going to hand out 3x5 cards. If you have a compelling question, then you should write it down and send it up to me, and we'll see how we can fit these things in. So let me start, though, we have some questions here. Imagine that I'm the parent of a child who's about to attend kindergarten. You can imagine that, right? My kids are in their 20s, and they went through the Seattle public school system and had, I should say, a great experience starting at Greenwood School and Hamilton Middle School, Eckstein Middle School, and Ballard High School. In fact, after my kids left Ballard, then they'd gone through the cross-country and track programs, and I said, okay, well, it's time. I don't have any skin in the game, so I can be a volunteer cross-country coach. So that's what I do for recreation in the fall and the summer. Anyway, so imagine that I'm the parent of a child who's about to attend kindergarten, and tell me why I should send my child to the Seattle Public Schools. Start with Leslie.
This is a conversation I have probably 2 or 3 times a week. The reason you should send your child to the Seattle Public Schools is because we need you. Public schools are the foundation of our democracy. When you send your child to school, you send the whole family to school. We need your help. There are great things happening in Seattle Public Schools, and again, many hands make light work. There's the neighborhood school, and sometimes they are not as equitable as the other schools. There are option schools. I'm a big believer in option schools or alternative education. My kid went Pathfinder K through 8, and those in the 34th district are sick of listening to me about what a terrific school and rigor that provided, giving a holistic education and training across the curriculum. We need people to believe in the schools. We need to lock arms, and we need to make them better. Thank you.
Okie dokie. So, Marty, why I'm the parent of a child who's about to attend kindergarten, and tell me what are the benefits of sending my child to the Seattle Public Schools?
Well, your child will become part of a vibrant and very progressive and excellent education system. And I'd be interested in knowing what schools you've looked at, because I could probably tell you something about various schools. Stanislaw, the school across the street from me, has a marvelous system of tutoring and support. They have city year volunteers, and they have partners in reading tutors. Gatewood is a fantastic neighborhood center, the heart of the local neighborhood. I could mention many, many schools in our area that your child would find a comfortable home in. And as Leslie has said, we also have some fabulous option schools. K-5 STEM has been very well regarded among many.
Okay, thank you. That was good. Okay, so, by the way, these questions have been sent in by email to Marcy, so I'm not just making these up. These are from someone in the audience, presumably. So, anyway, the next question is the following. Sleeping at home or in the classroom seems to be the choice. So why can't later start times be implemented sooner? And we're going to start with Marty on that.
It's a very complex transition. Assuming that we do decide that the whole community is supportive of late start times, there are so many logistics to be considered. Relationships with the Parks Department for after school, with child care providers, with tutoring providers, all those things. But the big thing about it is that it's going to, depending on how we do it, it could be very expensive. And so we really need to have an excellent process to show the public what the whole picture is. Because many people are wanting this two-tier system, which would be fabulous. I think we all agree that would be wonderful with only 2 start times. But it's $18 to $20 million more expensive than the others.
Thank you. Leslie, same question. Start time.
Science tells us that teenagers need more sleep. Science tells us that this is the single most important thing to raise the levels of the achievement gap. And I am sorry, Marty, I love you very much, but I'm crying foul here. I'm crying foul because we have a committee that has been looking at the start times, and what's coming out of the John Stanford Center isn't what the committee recommended. We talk a lot about saving a great deal of money, and we talk about $18 to $25 million. We are still waiting to find out how much money we saved on the last transportation plan. It's not clear, it's not transparent, and sometimes leadership's a bear. And you gotta take a hard line and you gotta say, you know what? This needs to happen, and we're gonna make it work, and we're gonna hold hands, and we're gonna make it work, and we're gonna flip the start times, we're gonna go to 2 tiers, and we're gonna figure it out.
This is a good one. So the question is, my granddaughter is in, there's not my granddaughter, someone in the audience. I don't have a granddaughter. Yeah. Anyway, my granddaughter is in the 4th grade at Tops. She lives on Beacon Hill. The district says that she and the other South End kids, that's why this is relevant, this is not just about someone's granddaughter, but the other kids as well, will no longer have transportation help. Can you or will you restore transportation for these kids? And we'll start with Marty.
That's not fair.
Hey, you want to start with it?
I'd like, yeah.
All right, Leslie, we'll start with Leslie.
Not a problem. I would suggest to the folks in Beacon Hill and the South End that we need to replicate successful programs like TOPS. I would suggest that the fact that we don't have a TOPS type of program in the Southeast is absolutely an equity issue.
Hear, hear.
Thank you.
Well, that is a great answer, and I absolutely endorse it. And let's talk a bit about the logistics of transportation in the district, which we talked about a bit before. I'm sorry, I don't remember exactly how much we saved at the last transportation shift, but it was significant, as I recall, 1.8 million or something like that. But the issue is that because the state has ratcheted down transportation money, and they also have ratcheted up their expectations for efficiency, the district is between a rock and a hard spot in providing transportation. You will see that we have terrible transportation problems, just like the one that this mother is talking about, all over the district. And I see it as a community problem that we need to deal with, talking with the city, with Metro, and the school district to somehow support better transportation for our students.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, sort of like between a rock and a hard place, sort of like between a dog and a fire hydrant. But in any case, okay, yeah, this is good. The question is, children of color are suspended and expelled at higher rates and have lower rates at graduation. What gives, or what would you do, or what is the corrective measure? So let me see. It was Leslie last time, Marty. So Marty, you go first this time. Do you want me to repeat the question?
Sure.
Okay, so children of color are suspended and expelled at higher rates and have lower rates of graduation. What gives?
So we're not serving those students nearly so well as we ought to. From the get-go, from the time they get into school, we are showing in some of our schools and areas that wraparound services, usually funded by grants, in which there's health care and tutoring and family support, can enhance students' success academically, starting in elementary school. And those kinds of services need to be made available, and we are doing that to the extent possible by partnering with the city and by partnering with many community-based organizations. In addition, the district is focusing in on the opportunity gap. And our theory of action is that if we can address the deficits that African American males face, that will lift all student achievement.
All right, thank you. We have one more question, which is... I forgot about you. Sorry about that. Maybe someone else should be the moderator. Leslie, go ahead.
If I had a nickel for every time I heard the word achievement gap and data at the John Stanford Center, I'd be a wealthy, wealthy, wealthy woman. The question is, what are we doing with that data? How are we shifting the needle? Now, some good things are happening. The IB program at Rainier Beach. But again, It is funded by grants. Marty just talked about grants. Let's talk about all the programs that we have started with grants that we cannot and have not sustained. Let's also talk about the fact that we have spent an inordinate amount of time in high-stakes testing. Not just taking the test, but prepping for the test. Inappropriate tests. That takes away from learning. That takes away from children's butts in the seats, learning and teaching. We hire a lot of highly paid folks downtown. That takes away from butts in the seat, teachers, classrooms.
Okay. So we have one other question, which is, it's sort of more of a statement than a question, but it's definitely relevant. So I am going to read it, at least parts of it. So here we go. Public schools and their teachers and their unions are favorite whipping posts of foundations and major industries. But these organizations, these foundations and industries, by their nature, they measure their success based on outcomes in their own fields, which translate into generating profits. Imposing that culture on schools would seem to be counterproductive since businesses frequently fail and students aren't profits. How can the school district take back the high ground on the message regarding education and outcomes in the role of education? And that was a long question, but I will start with Leslie this time. Don't worry, Marty, I won't forget you.
I'll be sure.
I get a kick out of overlaying the business principles onto education because somehow it equates our children, our biggest trust, our very future with widgets. And I don't know any spreadsheet that's going to tell you the value of a widget because we're all different. We all need different solutions. And I resent greatly a great many education reform agenda sorts of folks coming in and saying, you need this data profile or we're not going to give you money. Well, okay, we're in Seattle. We do things differently. We don't need a corporation telling us how to educate our children. We're plenty fine at doing that. But we need to get to work. We need to define how we educate our children. We need to talk to our neighbors. We need to help our neighbors. We need to help those that don't have the privileges that some of the rest of us have.
Thank you. And now, Marty, your turn.
Okay, so how do we take the high road here and regain the high ground? We do it by elevating the status of our teachers, who are the most extraordinary part of our Seattle School District. We do it by allowing them, by supporting them so that they can develop their own human capital, so that they can develop the social capital in schools, so that they can work together, teach each other, collaborate. We do it so that they, as members of a school community, can elevate their decisional capital. In other words, these are people who are so good at working together that they become expert at making wise judgments at a moment's notice. And finally, we do it by leveraging all that capital into what we call professional capital, which extends throughout the district, a whole district of people working for the purpose of empowering students.
Okay, now, thank you very much, both of you. That's the end of the school board decision with a big round of applause for both of you.